Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday, about 10 in the morning, and just kind of kicking back in the van. I got my little room heater on, and yeah, it's not a cloud in the sky, and the sun's out, and a little bit chilly, but I don't mind that. I wanted to talk to you today about something I don't understand. Now, as you know, my RV here, Big Blue, is a 1986 Ford Econoline 150 with a 24-inch high top, a 302 V8 AOD. It uses standard for the time EEC4 fuel injection, MPFI. If I go out to the if I go out to the desert and boondocking, and something goes wrong, like let's say I need an ignition module or something to that effect, I'm probably going to have, a milk crate full of parts like that already sitting around underneath my bed, so I can fix it right then and there. Or if I don't, I can walk out of the desert, and find help, and be on the road in a matter of a day or two. If something really drastic happened, like let's say I blew a transmission, which I'm not gonna have an extra transmission underneath my bed, right? So, no matter what, it'll be, a quick solution to a serious problem. It's just gonna be up to me to be creative enough to find that solution. There's this YouTuber that I've been watching for a long time, and I occasionally, comment on his videos. He started out on a Honda Element, hence his name, Elemental Van Life. Never met the guy, but I enjoy his videos. And he started out with the Honda Element, and he went to like a Nissan NV200, I think that's what it was, with a pop top that he installed, and it was kind of small, but I thought it was kind of cute, just rolling around one of those. And parts are common. You can get them anywhere, any auto parts store, any dealership will have parts for those two models. And then I don't know if he sold the NV200 or if he traded it in, but he got a Japanese domestic market Toyota Hiace with a high top camper van. And he's going to find that is the biggest mistake he'll ever make. How do I know this? In the 1990s, my dad and I used to fly to Japan on a regular basis. He owned a clothing store, and we would both go to auto auctions and motorcycle auctions or auction houses, and we would buy these things from middlemen. Exotic stuff, like, for example, I was really into motorcycling back then. I was racing around the racetracks and stuff like that, and just having fun with my friends, and I would buy these motorcycles that were never offered in the United States but were really exotic. GSXR 400 RRs, CBR 400 and CBR 250s, and what's it? Oh, I can't remember what the Yamaha one is. R1Zs, which is a two-stroke, and FZR 400 RRs, which is a special edition. And I used to bring them over here and sell them. My dad and I made a pretty good penny doing it until the .com crash. My brother, coincidentally, also does it occasionally. He'll go to Japan and buy a whole bunch of parts and bring them back to the United States. And we've been talking lately about picking up the whole JDM thing again and traveling to Japan on a regular basis to go buy, but not exotic stuff, but stuff that can be stuff that was already offered in the United States, or a version of it, but they look different enough to where they would be unique, but parts would be available for it. Well, most of the parts would be available here in the United States domestically. And Elemental Van Life bought something called a Toyota Hi-Ace camper van. And I wouldn't have done that. And here's the reason why. Now, as you know, my Ford van here is just based on a standard Ford, 1986 Econoline 150 chassis and body with a 24-inch high top on it. And I know that if I'm in the desert boondocking and something goes wrong, like let's say the ignition module goes bad, I probably have one in my extra parts milk crate underneath my bed. That's the kind of spare parts that you carry. If the brakes go bad, I can find a way to O'Reilly's, the nearest auto parts store, and based on make and model, if they don't have it, they can have it in a couple of hours from the warehouse, and I'll be on my way. Same thing for brake, just anything I need. I mean, there's some things I'm not gonna, have underneath my bed stashed, like an extra engine and an extra transmission. That's always a chance you have to take. That's why you take care of your camper van almost obsessively. I do. And it's gonna be the same way for the Dodge. Anything I need, if I can't get it right then and there from the auto parts store, I'll have it in 2-3 hours, which is great. It's a huge advantage to big domestic vans, although they do get terrible gas mileage to the large part, unless you're lucky and you find like a 6-cylinder and a manual transmission, in which case it'll get decent gas mileage. But what this guy's going to discover is that he's not going to be able to just go to O'Reilly's or the Toyota dealership and go, hey, I've got a Toyota Hi-Ace, I need blah, 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 blah. Because the Toyota dealership guy, parts guy, is going to go, what? Never heard of that. I don't know what to tell you. He's going to go to O'Reilly's and he's going to, he's going to say, hey, I've got a 90-something Toyota Hi-Ace van. I need some brake rotors and brake pads. And the poor parts guy or parts lady is going to look at him like, we don't even list that model in our computers. And this guy's going to be in big trouble. What he's going to have to do is he's going to have a contact to a Japanese import parts specialist who's going to stock these parts. And he can't stock everything, so some of them is going to be special order from Japan. And it's going to take weeks to get it. So this guy will potentially be stuck in the desert with no way of getting out of there for whatever reason, especially if something goes wrong with his diesel engine. He bought a diesel 4-wheel drive Hi-Ace. And he's going to have to go look for these parts and then sit there stuck for potentially weeks waiting for it. And that is the biggest disadvantage of trying to van dwell or RV dwell in a Japanese domestic vehicle or any other kind of import vehicle that was never offered in the United States at a dealership. There is one little cheat, and I hope he watches this video. And that one little cheat is this: if you're going to do that, if you're going to buy a Toyota Hi-Ace or any other Japanese domestic market vehicle that was never offered in the United States or Canada, because a lot of these weren't, is to go buy something called a parts manual. Now, the Toyota parts manual has one huge advantage, especially from Toyota, is that the part numbering system is universal from one country to another. So if he needs a specific part, let's say let's go back to brake rotors. So if he needs a new set of front brake rotors and brake pads, and let's say he needs calipers, he can go to the parts manual, go look up the brake section, and it'll have a drawing of the brakes. And with each part next to it, it's gonna have the official Toyota part number. And so he's gonna have to call Toyota or any aftermarket auto parts company like O'Reilly's or Pep Boys and ask for the part by part number. And he will discover that 50% of the time, that part is already available in the United States, but it goes to a different it goes to a different model of Toyota that was already sold here. Like perhaps, and I don't know if this is true or not because I've never owned a Hiace, I've never imported one, that brake rotor was also used on X year to X year Toyota Tacoma 4-wheel drive. So then he's going to have this notebook, and just jot down that note, brake rotors equals, blah, blah, blah year, Toyota Tacoma 4-wheel drive with this and this and this, air conditioning or heavy duty suspension or whatever, there's categories. It's the same thing going to be for all the parts to that Hiace. If you need calipers, you're going to have to try and order it by part number, and you're going to have to ask the Toyota dealership parts counter guy what else that caliper fits, and they'll be able to tell you. Like, they'll go, oh, that part number, what's it supposed to be? And you'll say, well, it's a brake caliper. And they'll go, yeah, it fits. Just an example, I don't know if this is true or not. Oh, that fits Toyota All-Track Camry between 19 blah 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 and 2001, and you jot that down and you keep that as your notes. And that's going to be the same for every single part you ever try to buy for that Hiace van. And yeah, it's time consuming. So there's a huge steep learning curve to these JDM cars and trucks and vans. So yeah, he's in for it, man. He really is. And just the money these people pay for this. I was just looking on the internet, just out of pure curiosity, how much in the United States these JDM high top vans go for, and I'm stunned. Anywhere between $15,000 or $11,000 for something that's in shape, to like $25,000 and $30,000 for something you can't get parts for easily. I don't understand this. Van dwelling is about keeping everything easy as possible, and as stress-free as possible. He did a video tour of what the insides was like, and I'm like, hey, that's really kind of cool. But and I don't know how much he paid for this thing, or if he's even bought it yet. But judging by the internet prices that I see for these things, I bought this van for just a couple thousand, and I've got everything that Hiace van has in this huge 40 Econoline. Stove, sinks, bathroom. I don't know if that thing has a refrigerator. I didn't see one. Lots of storage, easy to find parts for any junkyard. So I think that is the biggest advantage of domestic make, the big three vans when you want to go van dwelling. Of course, there are models of vans that are Japanese made that were available in the United States or sold new in dealerships. One of my favorites, and maybe I'll buy one just as a hobby, is the Toyota van from the 1980s, and Toyota Previa later on, which is from the 1990s. They're both rear-wheel drive. You can go to fiberglass companies, that specialize in high tops, and they usually have the mold for, 18, 20, 24-inch high tops for those things. So you can kind of duplicate, what that Hiace is, and you can go to Japanese domestic market parts specialists, and buy the various parts that would duplicate what the Japanese version of that van would be, because it was also available there, but all the parts from the Japanese domestic market version fits the American version. Like, for example, for that Toyota van from the 80s, they were available all over the world, and I don't need a parts manual for it. The headlights were different. It didn't have square headlights. It had flush lamps like modern cars. The bumpers were smaller, more tucked in. if you had a four-wheel drive version, it's simply it uses Toyota whatchamacallit, Hilux parts. So there's no mystery there. There's some accessories you couldn't get in the United States, like, grill guards and tire carriers and stuff like that. That's the path that I would have went, and he could have done that for half the price, or he could have done that for half the price, and had something super cool. So, and oh, by the way, to me, the Dodge that I'm getting is the same thing as my Ford. It's super easy to get parts for if I don't already have it. I can walk to the auto parts store from my house, and if they don't have it in stock, I'll have it in a couple hours. And that's critical if you want to go van dwelling or boondocking. This guy's in for a surprise, I'm telling you. I wish him all the luck in the world. I understand the whole thing about, it's cool, it's, hip, but hip ain't gonna help you, or being hip ain't gonna help you when you're stuck in the desert for 3 weeks waiting for insert part here. So yeah, those of you who watch my channel, it's not very many of you, if you own one of these JDM vehicles, I'd love to hear from you what your experiences are with owning one and trying to fix one and find parts. So yeah, I hope you're well and prospering and staying safe. I hope your loved ones are, safe, prospering, and doing well. I'm going to get started on my day's projects here, which is basically collect Dodge parts, throw them in my garage into a pile, and mow the lawn. That's what I'm doing today. So until next time, guys, all right, take care.